We have an economic system now that benefits a few people and penalizes the rest. Many people feel that the economic system is not working for them anymore.
Over the last 3 decades, just 5% of the wealth has made it to the bottom 60% of humanity, and 95% of that wealth has stayed with the top 40%. So there's this huge disparity, and we now have 4.3 billion people living under $5 a day. I mean, that's a fail. That's an absolute fail.
We have to define success differently. It is bizarre that when we have an oil spill in the Gulf, the GDP goes up. When the Gulf is clean, it doesn't get reflected. When we have wars and produce weapons, the GDP goes up. When we have peace, that's not reflected. When we produce a lot of stuff and have air pollution here and can barely breathe in cities across the world, our GDP goes up. When we have clean air, our GDP doesn't go up. So we do need to move to a broader definition of success and well-being than what we currently have.
There's something about the elected system cycle, if you like, the democratic cycle to the next election, the next 6 months maybe, the next 3 years, but very rarely beyond 5 years. And it's very hard for politicians to take hard decisions. And many governments are in coalition, so it's even harder to do the really brave thing.
Take, make, waste. So you take it from nature, you make something out of it, and then you throw it away. Well, away has gone away. Where's away? We now see the whole planet. There's no away here. We can see it all now. This idea we call people consumers is silly. You can't consume a carpet, right? You're a customer of it. So what we can consume is toothpaste, food, things that go back to the natural world. But what we really are is customers, we're users of it. And yet we think of it as consumption. So how do we destroy the world? We think of things as resources, and then we think that we're consuming them. We're not consuming them, we're destroying the natural world by our use of them.
Estamos en una nave espacial, una grande nave espacial, utilizando más de lo que la nave puede regenerar. Es un riesgo grande. Solo que ahora con la contabilidad monetaria no lo ve. Es demasiado barato el capital natural y así el mercado no se ajuste. Entonces llegamos a un choque.
We know the toxicity and the destruction and the damage that we're doing to our earth that is all passed on not only to the very next generation, but it will affect the quality of life for everybody who comes after us for who knows how many generations. And in that knowing, I think we can be happier people, live happier and more joyful lives if we do the work to correct it.
That we're at an intersection point now. So we're coming out of an old paradigm that was post-war, that was all about growth and development, and that was the way to prosperity. And it's meeting up with this younger generation that are saying, we can't keep growing on a finite planet. We've got climate change. Our oceans are full of plastic. And these two ideologies are starting to clash.
This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy
The children I've met in Australia and around the world aren't going to stop. They're going to keep going until their voices are heard, and I think it's a very exciting time to be alive, to be in the middle of quite a historic transition.
They are the young people whom, frankly, we have failed, who are angry, who are organized, who are capable of making a difference. They are a moral army.
So I think right now is this is if you like, the year of the citizen movement really landing in climate change, changing the politics, provoking, stimulating, encouraging a even stronger reaction from business.
Throughout history, it's always been the civilians that have taken to the streets and created the change, and then others follow. And if you go back to the abolitionists, you know, they were 60 years before slavery ended, they were told to get off the streets. It was utopian to think that the economy would ever survive without slaves. It was impossible.
You have Greta Thunberg from Sweden creating a lot of noise, a 16-year-old that's created a whole new wave of activism, may I say. But people are starting to realize that citizens of this world are demanding change. Many companies are demanding change. And the governments of this world should take notice of that as they submit the more aggressive plans for 2020 to stay below the 1.5 degrees. There's no alternative.
No es solo algo bonito, algo noble si una empresa se incluye la sustentabilidad. Es algo de absolutamente necesario.
For us, what's really interesting is when you start to see that taking action on climate change can lead to cost saving. So one of the reasons why more and more companies are now committing to renewable energy is it's saving them money. It's giving them stable energy prices. They enter into long-term power purchase agreements. CFOs like stability, they don't like volatility.
We have to think, as I said, we have to imagine this world, because it will be a much healthier world. We won't have the pollution of fossil fuel on air and water. People are choking. Children get asthma. Many die, millions die every year from the air pollution of fossil fuel. The wood fires because of wrong approaches to agriculture. We need sustainable approaches, smart conservation agriculture. We need to listen to indigenous peoples who are preserving their forests and support what they're doing. And this is a kind of transformative but very positive change where we can still have good lives.
Fear, sadness, frustration, rage are understandable emotions. They don't necessarily lead to productive transformation. So I think we can either feel overwhelmed and despair, then nothing will change, or choose hope. And hope, I think, is a moral choice to believe in the possibility of a better future and then to act towards it. You might not succeed. So I'm hopeful in the sense that I'm working with every sinew in my body towards a better future.
If you go all the way to the very root of any of those things, if it's plastic in the ocean or toxicity or whatever it is, you want to follow that problem all the way back to the very origin. It's in here. And in here, inside of us, in the morphic field of collective consciousness. And that to me is a hopeful thing, because consciousness is something that can change. It's something that can change in a blink of an eye. And it's something that everybody can join in and participate in.